Hello everyone, this is Darius from the Shotcaller. I'm joined here by Maurice Amazing Stückenschneider. We are in the LEC off-season. Yep. And things are already crazy enough if the wolf bombs are to be trusted. But more importantly, I'm wondering, what are you up to in the off-season right now?
I mean, as everyone does, I explored some options, I keep exploring options, but currently, I'm honestly just trying to figure out what I want to do. Because at this point in my career, it's really hard to say whether or not I want to play, keep playing or come into the coaching or become a manager, whatever it is, and then basically get into the business side of things. Because, I don't get any younger. So at some point I have to make that call anyway. And maybe now would be the time. But I still enjoy playing a lot, and I definitely want to explore options within that regard. But whatever happens. And I guess, you may see me on stage, not as a player, but as a coach, or you may see me in other roles within the scene,
The multi-role talent in a whole different universe. I mean, you've been a caster before as well, so...
I have to do everything, I have to do everything. Childish Gambino, or Donald Glover is my one of my favorites. So I basically have to emulate him, do whatever he does. Just do everything, music, ideally, do some acting too on the side, but that will come later.
Yeah, Stückenschneider FC coming in 2020 as well to the ESL Meisterschaft or something like that.
No, I mean... I don't join anything but the LEC, it has to at least be that,
Yeah, okay. So which team are you gonna buy out to get that spot?
Just everyone. I'm gonna create a monopoly.
Just buy the entire league at that point. Very good. So you're exploring. So what makes you get into wanting to get into the coaching role, thinking that this is an area I want to explore? Was that something you've been thinking about for a long time?
I mean, I've honestly been kind of coaching within the teams I've been playing in ever since Origin, I guess, because even TSM, I had a pretty leading role within the team, me and Björksen, in terms of shot calling and obviously determining what we want to play with. But in Origin, I think, especially due to the addition of Mythi and the way that I had a relation, our relation developed, was basically we basically coached the team in a way where we led the reviews, we tried to focus on points and whatever it is. And I think that always stuck with me ever since then, where in every team I've been in, I've tried to make a difference, not just as a player, but also as a personality and as well as someone that knows about the game, that can establish game knowledge, can establish game plans. So I don't think that coaching is too far from what I've already been doing within the teams, but it's obviously a step above because as a player, if you obviously have this coaching side to you, you don't have to do it on a daily basis, right? You don't have to go in every review and be okay, this is what I want to talk about, because you can pick your points. As a coach, you basically have to do this every time. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a different role. And I do think that it's still something I would have to learn, but I do think that I would feel fairly comfortable, especially if I have a spring split to prove myself.
Yeah, and of course, spring split is usually the time to experiment, no relegation, where everyone ends. Yeah. But I remember vividly you saying during the Schalke 04 press conference right after Summer Split Finals that it was such an amazing experience playing on such a big stage again, and your hunger is reignited, and you were still very hungry to go to Worlds and all that kind of stuff as a player. So have you lost some of that hunger during the off season, or was it just, hey, maybe I just want to try something out?
I don't think that I lost any of the hunger. It's just hard to say right now because obviously, this would be a lot easier if, for example, I was a really, really highly sought out player, which is kind of weird because obviously I do understand that people value, let's say, Maxwell above me, certain players that have also youth to them, but I do think that in the end, for me at least, success matters, and I don't want to play within a team that does not grant me success. It's really hard at some point to keep breaking those habits of other players, keep breaking those routines, and basically make it a winning culture, because that's kind of what I try to do in Schalke, and obviously it worked to a certain extent, but doing this all over again and every time is really taxing on the body. It's really taxing on the mind. So I do think at some point, I do want to have the support that I used to have within, let's say, for example, Origin, when I had 4 great players around me. And I do think that at this point in my career, it's not entirely feasible to, again, rebuild something unless it's really future focused, where after I build the roster for a year or whatever it's like as a player, or play with them, and establish rookies, that at some point that I get into the business side of things again, But that's what I'm talking about, like at some point you have to make this cut, and maybe that was the time, but maybe in a year from now it would be. But I do think that this, like, my window is closing, even if I want to be competing on the highest stage every time. Like, it's just something that a lot of people want to do, like I'm pretty sure that even like Boris, our coach, when he watched us like on the biggest stage, that he wanted to jump in and play, like I don't think that ever leaves you, but I do think that at some point you have to be realistic about the things you can do and the things you want to do, like at some point you have to make the cut.
Fun fact, there was a huge Rainbow Six tournament just a couple of days ago, and because from one of Fnatic's players like was sick or broke something, I don't know, they subbed in the coach and surprisingly like dominated a team that they were set to lose essentially, and they ended up like, I don't know, winning the tournament or like at least getting a huge win. So maybe that's something in the future we'll see in League of Legends as well. We've seen team owners getting subbed in at this point.
Wasn't it Paragon on Winter Fox that just like casually subbed himself in?
We had Jez subbing himself, or like him getting subbed in. Sorry, him getting subbed in.
Of course, he got subbed in. Yeah. It was not on his behalf. No. I mean, I do think that it may happen. Like, I think the role flexibility has increased a ton over the last year, because like you see so many different things, and you obviously have the rumors about the caps, perks, interaction, whatever that is about. Like, so I do think that it's actually not entirely like wrong to see like coaching and playing like not necessarily far away from one another, because someone who has game knowledge will probably be able to press some buttons. It's not that hard, especially if you've been a player before. So I do think that it may happen, albeit I think it may be a bit hard to just like do it on the right context, but I'm not entirely sure how that works either. Yeah. We'll have to see about that one, like in case it applies to me,
I feel like it would be a bit of a very difficult situation though, because like when you're in a coaching position, you always have more power than a player, and then when you go, hey, I'm gonna sub myself in or something like that is like, just from a psychological perspective, from what I know about psychology and that kind of stuff, that's a bit of a
I mean it can be really XD, to be fair. Like, you think about it, just like, you're the coach, you're failing to coach your players, like properly to make them the team that you want them to be, and then you're like, I'm in, like this is basically like easy cop out, I guess, but sometimes it's necessary to break some habits that like some players establish within themselves and like develop over the year that you may not notice, but you notice when you're in the game with them.
So you are considering becoming a coach. Or at least, well, now you're technically a free agent, but your now former team Schalke 04 today officially announced that Gil Yotto will not be staying with the team as the head coach.
No? I mean, obviously, like, as a free agent, you're about as far away from a team, like, even if it's an ex-team as any other team, so it doesn't really like influence whatever I'm doing, whether or not he left now. So I don't think that this increases my like likelihood of becoming the coach for Schalke, or becoming something for Schalke, whatever it is, So I do think that it's like, I mean, him leaving in the end is just like opening up a position, like it's just as any other team.
But a position in a role that you would potentially want to explore nonetheless. So
nice try. Bait me into things. No, at this point I cannot say that I will be the coach for Schalke. I think it's really unlikely at this point.
Okay, but we'll be excited for what the future holds for you. That said, there have been a lot of wolf bombs, and some of them have been officially confirmed. For example, Forbidden coming to Misfits, coming back to EU and saying that EU is 10 times better than NA and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, he's right, like, okay, so I don't want to hate on NA solo queue, because when I went over for a week, like I played a bit, and like I think I ran down almost every game, which made me at some point like the target of Tyler One, who just like said EU scum, and like he dodged this guy every time he can because he will run it down. And I'm like, okay, reformed. Anyway, to get back to the point, like I do think that NA is weaker solo queue wise than EU. Like it's a lot weaker because like the specific players on specific champions may be even better, but I do think that overall they don't have the flexibility that EU players have. For example, if you go into EU solo queue, like you may run into someone that plays Camille, Grace, Gragas, Olaf, in the jungle, let's say 95%, Whereas in Ace you meet the same people that are the same OTPs, the same one-trick ponies that may maximize a champion, but once it's banned, it's just really useless. And in some points, it's also champions they don't really encounter in competitive. Like let's say what is this? Shaco, Rengar, Heimer, okay, Heimer is a bit different now, but still you won't encounter it often. So you have a lot more on-trick ponies, you have a lot more streamers, and I don't know, it just feels different. It just feels a lot different.
Okay, so I'm already gonna get hated because again, oh my god, Darius, you included a question about why AU is bigger than NA. Oh my god, how can you? You're the biggest NA hater. What I was trying to get was Fabi coming back to EU. Are you excited about the mid lane of EU potentially get the pool getting back together and even stronger?
Yeah, I'm excited. I think that Fabi is an actually great player. Obviously last year was a bit hard for him because of the circumstances of him missing you, of him not being in the position to succeed, because Clutch Gaming the org may be good, but the roster was definitely not the best, especially when Lira just decided to right click on enemy nexus every game, or enemy base, because he was definitely inting a bit, so it's just. Yeah, I think it's a good addition for you. It will actually drive up the competition too, because Fevin is one of the only players that I see competing with Caps, that I see competing with Perks, with Nuke obviously being up there too, So it's those four now, and maybe Niski, maybe Jizuke. The field is definitely a lot stronger now than it was before, and Fevin will basically drive other people to become better too, because this guy's a hard worker.
Maybe another EU mid laner making a comeback potentially as well. No.
What are you talking about?
No, I don't know. I'm just I'm just hoping at this point.
Honestly, it would be interesting to see Bjergsen in the EU. I think this.
I wasn't talking about Bjergsen.
I am. I think it would be interesting to see him. Obviously, due to the TSM brand and whatever, it's really unlikely that he will ever leave, because the brand made him. He made the brand.
It's kind of like Parks and G2. It's such a close bond.
Exactly. So but it would be really interesting how good he is, because people keep saying that this guy would be you'd be worse than Febrev, and he would be worse than this guy, Now, I'm pretty sure that if Bjergsen stayed in EU, and he would be in EU, he'd be top two or the best. I think Caps will probably be the one giving him a run for his money, but Bjergsen is so insanely talented, he's so insanely hardworking that him in EU would just make him greater than he already is,
I mean, that would blow my mind, if I'm being honest. But I was also hoping for Power of Evil potentially coming back. So fun fact, when Power of Evil left, I got messaged by the Misfits manager saying, "Oh man, I'm so sorry for you. Now you can't request Power of Evil for an interview after every game of ours now." But yeah, I mean that would be the most insane mid lane pool we've ever seen in the West, no?
Yeah, I mean, I do think so. Power of Evil, again, I mean, I don't know what it is about. I mean, again, I don't want to make this meme about EU mid laners, but it's actually there, because EU mid laners are a lot more talented than than a lot of their counterparts. They're even more talented than their Korean counterparts at this point, honestly. So I the only one that can really say that he's a step above, or a couple of steps above EU mid laners, is basically Rookie. Scout can compete, but again, it's Faker would probably be a step above, but again, it's the average level of EU mid laners is a lot higher than in other regions, and Korea may be the only region that can actually give you these kind of mid laners too, Faker and Rookie, because Rookie is Korean too. So yeah, EU mids are really good, and they're really from what I've seen, they're really sought after too.
Yeah, I mean, we see that every off-season, essentially, NA importing EU mids. But I also think it's interesting because one of the problems I think that EU had over the past couple of years was this consistent importing from NA of our mid laners. Because, I mean, just consider how insane our mid lane pool could be if we would be able to keep all our EU mid laners, including the likes of Jensen as well. It's we would just have 10 S-tier mid laners at that point, and it's just they increase each other's ability to play as well.
No, for sure. Everyone has the specific things that they play with. For example, Power of Evil is like really specific in his champions. So you basically make other people either play as champions or find counters to it. So this would drive up the scene. Then Jensen is really specific on his picks too. Like still has a really high level in general. So yeah, it would be like having them all in the same region would be interesting. But then again, like I kind of want other people to get a job too. So I think it's good that they actually partially left, because otherwise like this EU scene would never change.
Yeah, I mean that's fair, and we need new talent to come up. If the rosters would be so stacked already, maybe someone like Jizuka would have never come up because he would have found a spot. Okay, so that's happening. There's a huge rumor by Jacob Wolf saying that Caps will go to G2 and Perks will go to AD. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it can work. I think Perks is a good AD carry. I just don't. I mean, this move, and I think I've said on Twitter too, is a lot more about weakening Fnatic and like other teams within EU than it is about making G2 better.
The Bayern Munich Classic.
Yeah, it's just they're basically copying them. Like it's a smart move. Like wait for other people to develop the talent and then take it away from them. For decent price. In the end, you're paying them out, I guess. But like in this case scenario, like he's even like free agent, so Fnatic doesn't even get anything for it. And the roster will most likely be a lot weaker without Caps, because I do think that this guy is a generational talent. Obviously, like I've had like basically me saying on broadcast too that I don't think he's anything special. But when you're a competitor in the very moment, like you never want to admit anyone is better. But this guy is actually really, really good. And I think like if he's on G2 and Perks AD carry, that'll make G2 the favorites, depending obviously who they get on as support, for example, because everyone else is just gonna be worse. The only other rumor that is obviously there, like after Fevin was like already joined, is that Source will also join Misfits, at least from what I've seen,
I mean, he is no. Source is list. Oh no, it's still a rumor. Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's a.
Yeah, because there are certain players joining orgs and it's already been revealed by the Riot contract database, And I thought, wait, Afari and going to org, I got confused. But yeah, rumor that Source joined Misfits. It sounds like a super stacked roster to me as well.
I mean, I honestly think that like them or G2 should be the ones running for trying to become the kings of Europe, as we like to say. It's going to be between them, because like any roster with Febvin, with Source, with Hans, you can put two shitters on the rest of the team, like this team will probably still make top 3, because all these people are just insanely talented. And I think it would be a good move. I think it would be interesting to see how we would interact in a different team environment.
But do you think that Fnatic also like that heavily loses out by losing, like let's assume that, for example, Bwipo stays, and then we got Hilly, Reckless, me in the mid lane, Roxa jungle, and Bwipo top lane. Do you think that squad can still make like at least top 3?
Hard to say. Like it depends on how much they've actually gotten used to Caps and basically like made him the center point of their attention, because I do think that they've been working for him the past 1.5 years. Like, so it's tough to say. If they can adapt very quickly, maybe. But again, any Young Buck driven team so far has had a great mid laner, and it's only been 2 teams. It's been Caps and Perks. So it's definitely hard to say whether or not he relies on it in terms of his coaching, in terms of his attitude too much on making the team better through a good mid laner and having him be the focal point of attention, If you can somewhat divert that and make Reckless, for example, the carry, then the mid lane does not matter as much. But, there's so many what ifs, meta shifts, coaching staff. Yeah, it can be anything,
Do people underestimate how much or how important the coach is after all? Because like we will see a lot of coaching changes in the LEC, no?
I think people are really overestimating how good coaches are right now. I think it's actually the other way around. Like maybe the public probably underrates coaches. I think orgs and teams overrate coaches, because, and I think this is something that I've always felt, is that like it's a lot more important what the 5 players do on the Rift, like in how they get together and how they feel like one another out, as dumb as that may sound, and how they synergize, because coaches can maybe change the attitude, can maybe change the structure, but they will never inherently change the attitude and the heart of the players, So I think if you don't have 5 players that synergize well, like you can have the best coach in the world, he will not change that. If you have someone that unites a team within the game, like it's a lot more valuable than any coach can give you.
But a coach can also be the driving force to unite the players, no?
This guy would have to be Jesus Christ, you know, like, I mean, the Messiah himself. I think side coaches are underrated. I think that's what actually, like, I think is a lot more important. The in-game knowledge is already so spread out. It's not like any coach will necessarily know more than the players nowadays, but he will be able to unite them maybe to a certain extent and make them like focus on one point. But a side coach can actually like bring certain things out in yourself, you know, and I think that's what Fabian did for his last split. Not saying that Gigliotto didn't do anything, and obviously he did do his part too as a coach, but I do think that Fabian and the addition of him and him being a full-time member did so much for us, because like we had someone to talk to, even if he probably didn't want to listen to all the bullshit we had to say, like he still listened to us and basically helped us out in personal issues, health issues, you know, like, and then like obviously mentality within the game, like periodizing my performance where I try to peak for the playoffs, which in the end happened, you know. So I think he helped us a ton trying to understand our roles within the team better and understand our roles within ourselves better, you know.
Fabian is a sports psychologist for Schalke 04, just for reference. Okay.
It's not announced that he left Schalke.
So
this is, I mean, yeah. Upset is around.
upset is around. Like I can just see the Schalke office and Upset just sitting there like,
where's the team?
1v9 guys, I can do it.
I mean, he said that with people around him, you know. So then, no joke. Jokes aside, I do think that Schalke is always going to be capable of making a good project happen, because I think they have good visions. I think that like they actually want to be sustainable, and it's really admirable what they're trying to do, you know. Whereas other orgs, just like, for example, Liquid, honestly, there's no way that's sustainable. There's no way that what they're doing is just like they're throwing money out the window, you know, and hoping for the best, you know. And this is something that may come in to haunt them. Like, let's say they lose next year and they don't become as good as they want to be. What are the investors going to say? What, like, these kind of questions, like I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, their investors are Disney, so at this point, like,
never mind, it doesn't matter. And just throw out another movie and it's all good, you know. Like, okay, never mind, I take that back. Team Liquid will win it all no matter what, and they have a lot more money than anyone else.
Yeah, but I feel like you're on the right track there, because Liquid kind of seem the kind of team to me that consistently now will consistently throw money at the problem and will then dominate regionally, but are not able to pinpoint or don't want to fix the issues that will undoubtedly arise at international competitions.
I mean, I agree. I honestly think the issue is just that they don't have, like, you know, they have all the superstars in the world, you know, like, but they don't actually have that much talent on the roster. It sounds dumb, but like Doublelift is obviously great. He's the best AD carry in North America. Xmithy is most likely the best jungler. Maybe Svenskeren is right now, and like that's a question to be.
But definitely best NA jungler.
Yeah, best NA jungler, and then you have like, I mean, Jensen now, you know, like is probably worse than Bjergsen, but again top 2. But like, what I'm really worried about is like obviously Impact. Impact is on the roster, right? He's top laner, right? Impact? Yeah. Okay. Impact and Xmithy, because I honestly I respect both of them. I think Xmithy is great, but I think on an international scale, great doesn't cut it. Like, you have to be insane. You have to be really, really good. Like somehow to like Svenskeren up this level, or how Broxah up this level. So I think there's a limit to what they can reach.
So apologies to everyone that is still watching, I guess. You're now seeing a picture of Maurice, but not a video anymore, because I'm a dumb idiot that forgot his battery. Yeah. So, but one final talking point that I think is interesting in regards to you in particular. Origin is officially back to the LEC. I still have to get used to that name. And what are your thoughts on that? And according to the Riot official contract database, Alfari, Sheriff, and Nuke Duck will be joining the team.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to go for the underdogs, kind of, you know, like obviously Nuke Duck is still somewhat underrated, obviously, even though he was on the hype train for the whole year, you know. And I think Alfari has been someone that has been underrated within EU, and then Sheriff coming in. I think the project is admirable. I think it's good. I think it's obviously really good to see Origin back in the SES. They're such a big brand, they're such a big name, and then being like actually led by other people, you know, like to basically fix those kind of management issues they had beforehand, you know, like I think it's the right way to go. And I wish obviously it would have happened sooner, you know, like it didn't when I was still playing, but like I think it's really good to see Expected like back there, and I think their whole roster at least seems competitive. I don't think so far they've shown anything that would make me think that they're like the favorites. But I think the behind the scenes stuff is probably the thing that attracts the most viewership and like attracts the most like attention anyway, because they have such an admirable project, and I do think that they will probably announce more soon about it. And from what I heard, they're just like trying to really, really hone down on everything that they can, like make everything work for the roster. So the roster basically just has to press buttons, like, and the rest is already like done for them, you know. So which is pretty good for an organization that hasn't been in league at least like for a long time, I guess. You know, in I mean, it has never been in league in Australis, I guess. You know, like, and then in Origin has not been in league for 2 years technically. You know, because they died in 2016, I think.
Yeah, EU Masters was an interesting stunt, and then we saw what happened. One thing I wanted to talk about the Team Liquid thing before the camera turned off, actually. Interesting fun fact that I saw on Twitter today. The average age of the Team Liquid roster in 2019 will be 25 plus.
They're older than me.
Exactly. You will turn 25 next year, right? Yeah. So and then there was the implication, hey, the IG roster, the average age of the IG roster is actually 19. Is that going to be an issue for Team Liquid? I mean, in the long run, surely, no?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Steve definitely has to invest into retirement funds really soon, you know, like, but no, I don't. I honestly think that age does not really matter. Like, it's just about the motivation to bring behind, you know. Like, Xmithy is 28. This guy is old as hell, but he's still performing at a pretty good level, you know. So I don't think it really matters unless age means laziness and youth means innovation, means eagerness, you know. Like, if those are the terms we go by, which a lot of EU orgs, for example, and like are going for, then maybe it's not so good. But for Team Liquid, it's been working, and I don't think it changes.
Okay, but like in 2 years' time, I mean, surely players at that point might have even retired at that, you know. You said earlier that your age gap thing, or your gap is closing yourself.
I mean, my window is closing because I become a worse player, you know. Like, but I'm still like at a point where I can say I can compete and probably like get out another 1 or 2 good years, you know, like, and then just call it, you know. But I think it really depends on the person. It really depends on how invested they are and which way they're invested. Because, like, not everyone is gonna overtake rosters as much as I do. You know, just be like, you guys do this now and we do it this way. You know, like, and really try it as hard as possible and basically burn themselves out. You know, which is something other players are probably better with. You know.
When do you think was your peak time as a player?
I mean, I think technically and in terms of like leadership, I think last year was my peak. But I think in terms of like mechanical ability, 2014, like, I think ever since then it's been going downhill. Like 2014, if you didn't ban Lee Sin, Elise, Nunu, like, you'd game, like, it was a lose for you, you know. So, and just having that kind of ability to bring to a roster is something that I could only do back then. Like in 2015, I had Gragas, I guess, you know, and then Elise, if you didn't ban those, it was also free lose, but it's been diminished. Last year it was only Sijani, I guess, you know. And then my Skarner. Never mind. It's actually not gone downhill that fast, you know. We're fine. We're still fine. So I think 2014 mechanical peak does of leadership and my personal ability to impact other people and make everyone better. 2018.
Okay. So yeah, you're still fine. That's a good thing to go for.
Combine those two, and then I'll be ascending to godhood. You know.
Yeah, like, you just need to like transfer your mind into a young body or something.
Or I'll just like allow Gilius to like, or just talk to Gilius a bit more. Maybe that'll help me too. You know. I'll just ascend. No, actually, I think I still have something in me, and I don't want to have those catchphrases like I want to prove myself. I've already proven myself. I just want to have fun and play, you know, like, and then see what goes.
Good. You made some really funny tweets about the whole looking for a team tweets, and lots of can't wait to prove myself on stage and that kind of stuff in there as well. Did you find any more catchphrases since then? I
mean, I'm exploring options. It's definitely one of my favorites. I think. Thank you to my last org for everything they've done, and obviously to my teammates. You know, like, this is casual, like, or willing to listen to criticism is also a nice one, and willing to coach and teach other people. And honestly, being a Shotcaller is obviously something you have to also say, even if you've never done it in your life, you know? Like, I can be a shot caller. Anyone on Twitter is apparently a shot caller.
Yeah, absolutely. Myself included. My favorite one that I saw was definitely able to adapt to new champions and patches. Yeah. That's a really special trait, dude.
They're basically telling, I'm not entirely dumb, you know? That's basically what it means, no? Like, I can play more than one champion.
Yeah, I'm actually willing to train if you give me money.
If you give me money, like, maybe I'll turn off the stupidity and win, you know?
Yeah. Maybe I'll play less Fortnite and actually play League of Legends for once. But yeah, okay. So I think that's pretty much it from my side. Anything you want to say to the fans that have been listening at this point?
I mean, anyone that has listened so far is definitely a trooper. So shout out to you guys, and hope you guys keep following my career, and thank for you.
Yeah, I very much appreciate it as well. I'm looking at the camera, but it doesn't make any sense at this point. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Thank you very much for your time. Amazing. Best of luck for the 2019 season. I hope you will get into the position you want to, and I'm very excited for what you have in store in the future. The LEC offseason has already been crazy, and I can't wait to see what's actually going to happen. Thank you very much for listening and watching. Thank you.